Three sides to every tale we tell. The truth is here, it's ringing bells.
All right, let's dive into something pretty fascinating today, exploring the idea that we can actually heal ourselves with our minds.
Oh, I'm excited for this one. Sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, so we're taking a deep dive into Are The Placebo by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yeah, definitely familiar with Dr. Dispenza's work. Really interesting stuff.
He basically argues that our thoughts, our beliefs, our emotions, they can all have a real impact on our physical bodies, especially when it comes to healing. And he backs this up with some pretty incredible stories and actual scientific research.
Yeah, and the book starts off with a pretty personal story, right? His own.
Oh, yeah, the biking accident. I was blown away by that.
Seriously. Shattered several vertebrae in his spine.
Doctors were like, you're going to need surgery, probably deal with chronic pain, maybe even limited mobility for the rest of your life.
Pretty grim outlook. But Dr. Dispenza decided to take a different path.
Yeah, he basically said no thanks to the surgery and chose to focus on healing himself through like sheer mental discipline.
Yeah, can you imagine spending hours every day visualizing his spine, like rebuilding itself piece by piece, and actively avoiding any negative thoughts about his condition?
It's like next level positive thinking, right?
Way beyond that. And the incredible thing is, it worked. He fully recovered. Ended up walking away from that experience with a deep understanding of just how powerful the mind can be. And that really became the foundation of all his work exploring the placebo effect.
Okay, so that's where the you are the placebo concept comes in. But is he saying that we all have that ability to like heal ourselves just through belief?
Well, that's a big part of his argument, and he brings in a bunch of examples from his workshops to support it. Like, there are people who saw spontaneous remission from a whole range of conditions, things like food allergies, chronic pain, even stuff like celiac disease and thyroid issues, all through focused intention and altered states of consciousness.
So they were like meditating their way to healing.
A lot of them, yeah. Using those practices to achieve some pretty remarkable results. But it's not just about like sitting there and wishing it away. It's about intentionally directing your mental energy towards a specific outcome.
So it sounds like there's a lot more to it than just like positive thinking.
Definitely more to it. It's about tapping into a different level of awareness. But, if our thoughts can be that powerful in a positive way, what about the flip side? What if they have a negative effect on our health?
Yeah, that's a good point. Can our thoughts make us sick?
Well, Dr. Dispenza addresses that with the nocebo effect, which is basically the opposite of the placebo effect. It's the idea that negative beliefs and expectations can actually lead to physical symptoms, even illness.
Wow, so like if you believe you're going to get sick, you actually might.
Yeah, there's a story in the book about a man who was misdiagnosed with cancer and actually passed away, even though it turned out he never had the disease. His belief that he was dying actually seems to have contributed to his death.
That's a little scary, honestly.
It really shows how powerful the mind can be, even in a negative way. So it's a good reminder to pay attention to our thoughts and beliefs. And to really drive home this point about belief, Dr. Dispenza talks about this guy, Mr. Wright, who was battling advanced lymphoma. He got treated with this experimental drug called cribirozin, and amazingly, he recovered.
Sounds like a miracle cure.
Well, here's the twist. Cribirozin was later found to be completely ineffective. Mr. Wright's recovery was entirely because of his unwavering belief in the treatment. But then, when he found out the truth about the drug, his cancer sadly came back.
Oh, wow. So even with something as serious as cancer, belief can play a huge role.
Exactly. It shows how deeply our expectations and perceptions can influence our bodies. And there's more. Even research on fake knee surgeries supports this.
Wait, like people having surgery that wasn't real?
Pretty much. Dr. Mosley, an orthopedic surgeon, he did this study where he performed 3 types of knee surgery on patients with osteoarthritis. One was the real deal, another involved incisions but no actual surgery, essentially a placebo, and the third was sort of in between.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this. So some patients had a fake surgery and didn't even know it.
Exactly. And the crazy thing is, all 3 groups, even those who got the placebo surgery, reported significant improvements in their mobility and pain relief.
So just believing they had an effective treatment led to real changes in their bodies.
Absolutely. It's pretty mind-blowing, right? It just goes to show how powerful our expectations can be.
Okay, this is all really fascinating, but I have to ask, how does this work from a scientific perspective? What's going on in our bodies that makes this mind-body connection possible? All right, so we've seen that belief can have a really powerful, even measurable effect on our bodies. But how does that actually work? What's the science behind all of this?
Well, that's where it gets even more interesting. Dr. Dispenza gets into the nitty-gritty of the science behind the placebo effect, explaining how our thoughts and emotions can cause actual biological changes in our bodies.
So it's not just some vague, feel-good idea. There's real science backing it up.
Oh, absolutely. It comes down to how intricately our minds and bodies are connected. There's a whole field called psychoneuroimmunology that explores this link. Basically, it shows how our mental state can directly affect our immune system.
So, like, our thoughts and feelings can actually influence our immune response.
Exactly. For example, when we're stressed, our bodies release hormones like cortisol. A little cortisol is fine, but if we're stressed all the time, that flood of cortisol can actually suppress our immune systems, making us more vulnerable to getting sick.
That makes a lot of sense. I definitely feel like I get sick more easily when I'm super stressed or overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's pretty common. But on the positive side, feeling joy and gratitude can actually boost our immune function, helping our bodies heal more effectively.
So having a positive outlook isn't just about feeling good. It can actually impact our physical health.
Totally. And that's where epigenetics comes in.
Okay, I've heard of epigenetics, but I'm not sure I fully get it. Can you explain it in a way that, like, a normal person can understand?
Sure. Think of our genes like they have these little on and off switches. Things like our environment, our lifestyle choices, even our thoughts and emotions can actually flip those switches, turning certain genes on or off.
So what we experience, even what we think, can affect which genes are active.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Like, chronic stress can actually cause changes that turn on genes linked to inflammation and disease. But positive choices like meditating or eating healthy, those can activate genes that are associated with longevity and well-being.
So we have more control over our health than we might realize.
Absolutely. We're not just stuck with whatever genes we're born with. We can actually influence how those genes are expressed through our thoughts, our beliefs, and the actions we take.
Okay, this is some seriously empowering stuff.
Mhm.
But how do we actually put it into practice? How do we become our own placebo?
Well, that's where Dr. Dispenza gives us a lot of guidance. He stresses the importance of actively working on a positive mindset, managing our stress levels, and doing things like meditation to create lasting changes.
So it's more than just thinking happy thoughts.
Definitely more. It's about actually changing our whole state of being. One technique he talks about is mental rehearsal.
Mental rehearsal, like practicing something in your mind.
Exactly. It's about vividly imagining yourself already living the outcome you want, complete with all the positive emotions you'd feel.
It's like creating a mental blueprint for our reality.
That's a great way to put it. And when we do that consistently, our brains actually start to rewire themselves. It makes it more likely that we'll actually achieve that reality in the physical world.
So this applies to more than just healing. It could work for any goal.
Exactly. He gives the example of athletes like Aaron Rodgers who use mental rehearsal to visualize plays before they happen on the field, and they execute them with incredible accuracy.
Wow, it's like training your mind to believe in the possibility first, then taking action.
Exactly. Dr. Dispenza even shares the story of Jim Carrey, the actor. When he was still struggling, he wrote himself a check for $10 million, dated it for Thanksgiving 1995, put acting services rendered in the memo line, and carried it around in his wallet, visualizing his success every night.
And what happened?
Well, in 1994, he landed the role in Dumb and Dumber, and guess how much he made?
$10 million.
You got it.
That's incredible.
It really shows the power of visualization and belief, right? And Dr. Dispenza's point is we can all tap into that.
Okay, I'm with you so far. But you mentioned the quantum mind earlier, and this is where I start to get a little lost. Quantum physics is a bit of a mystery to me.
Yeah, it can be pretty complex, but Dr. Dispenza explains it in a way that's relevant to our lives. Basically, the quantum model of reality challenges the traditional view that everything is made up of solid, unchanging matter.
Okay, so instead of seeing things as separate fixed objects, it's more about everything being interconnected and constantly changing.
Right. The quantum model says that everything is fundamentally made of energy. Matter is just a condensed form of that energy.
So we're all, like, vibrating energy fields.
In a sense, yes. And what's even more mind-blowing is that, according to quantum physics, the observer, our consciousness, can actually influence how that energy and matter behave.
Wait, so our thoughts can actually affect the physical world around us?
That's what the quantum model suggests. It's a pretty radical shift from the classical view of reality.
That is definitely a lot to process.
I know, right? It really makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world.
So how does this all tie back into the placebo effect?
Well, Dr. Dispenza proposes that our thoughts and beliefs are actually acting as observers in this quantum field, shaping our reality.
So by changing our thoughts and beliefs, we can actually change the energy and matter that make up our bodies and even our environment.
That's the idea. It's like our minds are constantly interacting with this quantum field, taking possibilities and turning them into reality based on what we observe and expect.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. Are there any real examples of people using these quantum principles to make changes in their lives?
Absolutely. And this is where it gets really inspiring. Dr. Dispenza shares the case of Lori, a woman who actually healed herself from brittle bone disease.
Welcome back. Now, I'm really curious to get into the practical side of all this. How can we actually use these ideas, like in our everyday lives? We talked a bit about open focus meditation last time. Could you break that down a little more?
Yeah, definitely. Open focus meditation is one of the key techniques Dr. Dispenza talks about for tapping into that placebo power. It's all about shifting our awareness from like that narrow, laser-focused attention we usually use to something much broader and more spacious.
So instead of zeroing in on one specific thing, you're kind of expanding your awareness outward.
Exactly. Think of it like switching from a spotlight to a floodlight. You're going from focusing on the tiny details to tuning into the bigger picture, the energy that connects everything.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So how do you actually do open focus meditation? What are the steps?
Dr. Dispenza lays it all out in the book, but I can give you a simplified version. You start by finding a comfy spot to sit, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths, let your body relax.
That's pretty similar to other types of meditation so far.
Yeah, the beginning is pretty familiar. But here's the twist. Instead of focusing on your breath or a mantra, you shift your attention to the space around your body.
The space around my body, what does that even mean?
It's about becoming aware of the emptiness, the nothingness that surrounds your physical form. Like, notice the space between your skin and your clothes, or between your hands and your lap.
Okay, so it's like paying attention to something that's always there, but we usually don't even notice it.
Right. And as you get more comfortable sensing that space around your body, you start to expand your awareness further out. You start to feel the space in the whole room, above you, below you, all around you.
It sounds kind of trippy.
It can be, but the more you practice, the more spacious and receptive your mind becomes. You start to break free from all those limitations, all that analyzing and judging that your ego is always doing.
So you're creating a kind of mental stillness that lets you connect with that quantum field we were talking about.
Exactly. And from that place of expanded awareness, you can actually start to consciously plant the seeds for the reality you want to create.
So this is where the visualization and intention setting come in.
Yep. Once you've got that open focus, you can start to really vividly imagine yourself experiencing your desired outcome.
And we want to use all our senses in that visualization, right? To make it as real as possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
See it, hear it, feel it, even taste and smell it. The more vivid and real you can make it, the better.
And don't forget the emotions.
Right. Those are key. Feel the joy, the gratitude, the love, the excitement you would feel if that outcome was already happening.
So you're basically creating this powerful, energetic blueprint infused with emotion and sending it out into the quantum field.
You got it. And the more you practice this, the more you'll start to see those seeds you've planted actually sprouting in your real life.
This is amazing. So can we just meditate and visualize our way to a perfect life then?
Well, I wish it were that easy. It does take consistent effort, a lot of discipline, and a willingness to really challenge those limiting beliefs we all have.
So it's not a magic bullet, but it's definitely a powerful tool we can use.
Exactly. And remember, it's not just about the meditation itself. It's about cultivating that positive mindset, managing your stress, making choices that are in line with the reality you want to create.
So it's a holistic approach involving both inner work and taking action in the real world.
Exactly. And the more you live by these principles, the more you truly become your own placebo, a force for healing and transformation in your life and the world around you.
This has been such a fascinating conversation. You Are the Placebo really challenges us to rethink everything we thought we knew about our minds, our bodies, and the nature of reality.
It really does. It's a transformative book.
I highly recommend it to all our listeners. Who knows what amazing things you could create in your life if you tapped into the power of belief.
Exactly. As Dr. Dispenza asks, if you could truly believe in the power of your mind to heal and transform your life, what would you choose to create? That's something to think about.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep believing in the incredible power within each of us.
And remember, you are the placebo.
Three sides to every tale we tell. The truth is here, it's ringing bells. Dive in deep, let's take a look in every twist and turn we took. For glory lies within the truth. We're chasing facts, it's our pursuit. Stories break and come alive, digging deeper to survive. In the chaos, hear the call, uncovering